1. So I work in a utility company, but to maintain anonymity, I will be using flat tire metaphors. You need something valid to complain about. Even if we did something wrong, it needs to be something that had inconvenienced you in some way. A mistake, like giving you a better tire than you paid for, that actually improves your situation, will get us sorry, we will fix that, and you can be on your way. If you get told it needs to be fixed a certain way, believe the person. That person might know more than you, and if it will take a process and a certain length of time, chances are it's right. If a mechanic says they need to take the tire off your car to repair the puncture, don't demand that they fix it while still attached. Don't blame us if your way doesn't work. You have been on the phone for nearly 2 hours, but 90 minutes of that was you shouting at us for not getting your own way. If you had given us 10 minutes to check with another department, it could have been fixed by now. So no, matey, I'm not compensating you for the cost of this phone call or cancelling any invoices. Don't interrupt me, particularly if it's just to repeat yourself instead of listening to my answer. Do you want me to help you? Because right now I don't want to do anything for you. Escalation processes are there for a reason. If you think someone did something wrong on a previous call, we need to listen to that call. That is why we have a process that involves asking the person to resolve the complaint doing a full review of your file before calling you back. They may even need to get advice from specialist departments and be able to call you back with a solution immediately, rather than waste your time because they haven't even been able to read your case notes yet. A big reason why we do this is to make you calm down and be more reasonable. Don't ask to speak to my manager. My manager knows less about tires than me, because they don't repair the tires. Their manager knows even less, and the boss of the company. Does Elon Musk know how to change a car tire? Don't be stunned if my manager isn't working. I mean, most businesses are open 56 hours a week. That's more than the legal limit in my country for any individual to work. Plus, I know in broad strokes when they are working, but I don't know their availability to the second. Look at the calendar. Yes, there is a national holiday on Monday, so we will be closed. It is kind of allowed, expected even, and yes, I will get paid for it. Damn these laws that keep workers safe and happy. Created to inconvenience you. Don't insult my colleagues and lie about them. I get that you might be unhappy, but I have known you for seconds at this point. The person you're insulting has been my friend for years. Some of my colleagues have helped me clean up after I puked on a night out, invited me to their weddings, visited me in hospital when I had a baby. Even if I don't call you out on it immediately, I won't believe you. You can't pretend laws don't exist because you changed your mind. Your problem doesn't mean we can break the law to compensate you. You are unhappy with the tire change, but I can't say you can drive off in the car that only has 3 wheels and certify it as roadworthy. Don't lie. Yeah, you won't believe me when I say this, but you are useless at it. You told me you had professional experience and make a blunder that mixed up your backside and your elbow. Does not help your case. Tell me you will get me fired? I'll spend the rest of the day humming Straub's You Don't Get Me, I'm Part of the Union. 2. Still beyond pissed about this, but even according to the customer agreement, I'm screwed. I've been a rewards member at a certain gaming store. I've been loyal to them, despite name changes and merges. I've worked for them twice as seasonal help in the past as well. This store, which I'm sure many know who I'm referring to, offers rewards points based on money spent. I've always saved my points as much as possible to turn in for bigger gift cards. That's where I really screwed up. I'm sitting at work last month and I get an email with an authorization number for my account login. I'm the only one with that info, so I log in and try to change my password quick. But before I can log in, I get 3 emails with reward redemption confirmations. I immediately call customer service. I'm shaking. I tell her I managed to change my password, but it definitely wasn't me. I am the only one with access. She tells me they will look into it, confirms my phone number, and assures me they'll get back to me. 2 weeks later, and I've heard nothing, so I call. The guy that I got was super rude. He tells me my ticket was closed 2 days after my original call, and that they determined it was done at your usual store, so there's nothing they can do. That was it. Now, I had a creepy experience with a guy at my usual store, location 1, within a few days of this happening. He made a comment about how many points I had, and how they were doing away with the program, so I should spend them soon. Felt off. Now, my mind went back to that encounter, so I called location 2, asking for contact info on the store manager. They told me he's usually at location 3. I had been in location 3 a few days prior and had mentioned to the worker what happened. Wouldn't you know, he was the one that answered. We talked, he remembered me, said he'd have his manager call me after I told him what happened. The worker called me back and said he looked into my account and the purchase was actually done in a store in the Bronx. For reference, I'm Central Connecticut, and this was definitely not my usual store. So I know it wasn't the guy from location 1, I'm more at ease. I call back customer service and explain everything. They just kept saying how sorry they were, but there was nothing they can do. I ended up losing $40 in reward points, which was over $2,000 spent to earn that, and have vowed to never shop with them again. I got an email from them asking for me to review my recent purchases, and one was the headset the hacker got. My review mentioned that I didn't purchase it. A hacker got my info, purchased them with my points, and the company won't do anything to help me. In the grand scheme of things, a review won't help, but can't make matters worse. Their customer service is as horrible as their trade-in offers. 3. Not long after my stay in tech support and my former life as a phone jockey, I find myself back in general customer service. While my consolation prize was being one of the folks tapped to handle escalations, we still had to be a regular rep once a week for reasons. Job security for QA, I guess. One of those days, I get what might be the second biggest cluster I would deal with in my dozen years. Call starts, get into the account, ask the guy what I can help him with, and get the "oh, you'll see in a minute" line that usually precedes a migraine. Boy, did I see it, a 5-figure bill on just a regular Joe's account, at a point in time where rather drastic measures were being taken by the company to limit, well, exposure to humongous bills that folks would understandably skip out on. By this point, I'm not new, I've seen shit. At first glance, I can't fathom how the hell this happened. So we start digging. In one ear, I've got the caller relaying his side. We cut his service off because he was using his little internet thingy not in our network, but still domestically. Corporate doesn't like that because it allegedly costs too much. So he calls, and because according to the map, don't trust the map, he's in our coverage area. If we just make it so he only uses our network domestically, it should all be great. So they make the changes, and make sure to set a flag to stop him from getting flagged again, and off we go. Now you may wonder why I kept pointing out domestically there, because this poor guy lived very close to an area near an international border, and this fact never clicked to anyone. Also, the maps like to lie. He was in our coverage area in much the same way flavor is in LaCroix beverages. So when we turn off the just domestic roaming, and there's none of our coverage actually there, and the other country's providers turn the sectors facing us up to 11. And we stop monitoring for any excessive usage, it gets bad, and nobody even knows. This guy was told he was good, while we pressed the wrong buttons, and the result was a bill that could cover the cost of a couple of compact cars of the day, with a bit left over. And for once, the particular method of bollocksing things up was pretty well documented, which made what happened next just a smidge easier. My manager, being a reasonable sort, was on board with just making this go away, but the account had to go. That part easy peasy, and poor old Joe was fine with that. Getting the account adjusted, well, if you've worked in billing, you know how things go. Each level has a limit to how much they can okay, and ours was systematically enforced in 2 places. Ultimately, our CRM was going to push it up to the designate of a VP to give the final OK. Only 4 layers of approval. The CRM gave that level essentially unlimited authorization, so we just grab our crayons and patience, and we can make it happen. And by luck, it went super smooth. The right guy pressed the button, and nothing happened. Approval was there. CRM said it did it, but it didn't happen. Okay, well, glitches happen. Let's resubmit it and get it done. It goes fairly smooth, until the last guy in the chain goes, wait a minute, why am I getting another huge approval request for the same person in just a couple of days? That's not the sort of attention you want. More crayons and patience later, we all collectively figure out that the billing system itself won't let CRM process an adjustment that large. No one ever thought it would be needed. So they set some arbitrary high end, and we blew right the hell past it. And it didn't even think to throw an error. And by this point, collections was starting to send out their fun little notices, which, with this much money, will make a customer tend to soil their underoos. In the end, a third carefully crafted credit request got it done. But the bean counters kept a close eye on me for a while after that, I'm sure. 4. I'm a 31-year-old man, worked in an insurance company call center to help pay my way through university about 10 years ago, and although I was part-time, I was recognized for having good rapport and became a bit of an example of how to interact with customers due to being considered a bit of a chameleon. I could be speaking with the financial director of an oil and gas company with an enormous liability risk and have the same effective rapport with them as I might with a farmer wanting the minimum cover possible for a 40-year-old truck that won't leave their farm. So is haggling and having a laugh with me. Purely an example to show how high risk versus low risk. The roles and people are irrelevant, as were often the other way around. With calls being monitored for training and compliance on a regular basis, my calls were being picked up by the compliance team for usually being of a high quality, and they asked if I would mind if they maybe picked a few of my calls to help with new staff to help demonstrate the different ways that I would mirror each customer's expressions and portray a likeness to gain trust, making the calls easier, making the customers more relaxed without answering questions, and ultimately making it less of a sale and more of a consultation. I agreed, and the compliance team went to work, selected quite a few calls, and then arranged for us to all sit in a room to listen to them. They found quite a few examples of objection handling. Calming irate customers, upselling and professional, yet friendly, rapport. This was all their words, and despite how I have described myself so far, I didn't realize that this was a marketable skill or anything at that point. I was just being me and trying to do a good job, so I found it really embarrassing to listen to. They put together all of the audio clips and presented them to the training team to assess. They liked the examples, they put them to the test, and the feedback was great. They then asked if I would mind doing a live call with a customer for the new staff to listen into and see how I reacted off the cuff. Again, I agreed, and we arranged to have the audio of the call being played in the training room, along with a mirror of my screen, so that they could see what I was doing. This is slightly important as it changed the process. My first call comes in. It's a plumber looking to change his van on his policy. Simple. Few jokes, made sure everything is accurate. All of the legal and regulatory jargon completed. Happy customer. Next call was an estate owner who was looking to renew her estate insurance. A very serious call, strictly professional, and very little rapport as she was giving one-word responses and everything was taking too long. A good example of when to just do exactly what the customer is looking for and no more. Except with there being a room full of new staff and her bank account likely having a few zeros before the decimal. I opted to use our secure telephone payment system, rather than have her read out the card details to me over the phone and be heard in the other room, whilst also being recorded on the call. skipping to that part. Okay, so that will be, and I tell her the amount. And if you have your card there just now, I will talk you through our secure telephone payment system. Yes, I do, as long as it doesn't take long. No, if done correctly, your payment will be made and policy will be renewed in the next 30 seconds. I'm now going to start the telephone payment process. When I tell you to, type in the long card number on your phone, followed by the hash key. That will then pre-populate my screen with your card details censored out. Okay, bear with me. Done. I don't think that has worked. Can you try that again? I thought you said this would be quick. Okay, doing it now. Oh, I don't think that has worked again. Can I just confirm you are pressing the hash key? Yes, I'm hitting the bloody hash key. I don't have time for this terrible system. If it doesn't work this time, I won't be doing it a fourth. I'm really sorry about this. I'm not sure what's going on, but if it doesn't work this time, I can arrange to call you at a better time to take the payment. Done. I'm sorry. That hasn't worked that time either. Oh, for God's sake, this is absolutely ridiculous. All I want to do is renew my policy. It really shouldn't be this difficult. We decided to stay with you because it's a good policy. But there is obviously a reason why you are working in a call center if you can't take a bloody payment. I'm really sorry about the trouble here. I don't understand what is going wrong, as everything looks correct on our side. There may be an issue with your phone connecting to our system. Could we possibly try your landline? I am in my landline. Do you think because my mobile doesn't have a great signal that is the issue? Sorry, what do you mean? Are you on your landline or mobile? What don't you understand? I'm speaking to you on the landline. Okay, but you asked if your mobile not having a signal could be the issue. Yes, I'm speaking with you on my landline. My mobile phone isn't doing anything when I press hash. Sorry, just to check. Are you speaking to me on your landline and putting your card number into your mobile phone? Yes, now we're getting somewhere. At this point, I'm trying not to laugh. I think I have found the issue. You see, you need to type your card number into the phone connected to the call, not just a random phone. It's not just a random phone, it's my phone. Oh. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm laughing. You just caught me off guard with that one. Oh my God, I am such an idiot. Cue the two of us laughing uncontrollably for about a minute. With tears running down my face, I say, sorry, I know you were in a rush. Shall we try this again? Now she's in proper hysterics and not able to speak, but she starts typing in her card number properly this time. Done. Hopefully that works. The two of us, oohing and eyeing from the aches of laughing so much. Right. Now just put in the 3-digit security code and push hash, followed by silence, and then us both hitting hysterics again. There was then another 5 minutes of on and off giggling. She finally thanked me for my patience and thanked me for giving her a much-needed laugh. I came off the phone sweating, aching with pains in my cheeks and ribs, walked into the training room and got a standing ovation. Apparently, every single person in there was in hysterics with us the entire time. I heard recently that call is still used sometimes and is named OP Thawing the Ice Queen Vive. 5. I knew I was in trouble the minute I was told my data entry department was shutting down, and I was being moved to the call center. I spent a few months in there, hated it, and had gotten myself transferred to a different part of the company as fast as possible. Things were actually nice in data entry, simple work, reachable goals, and no talking to idiots on the phone all day. It was so nice that I was actually able to stop taking my anxiety medication, finally breaking the addiction I had to it and significantly improving my mental health. And then they sent me back. And now I'm not doped up in so many chemicals that you could light me on fire and I wouldn't care. Sure enough, things have been extremely rocky. But the worst example was this past Friday, where it was like the customer and my bosses were working together to drive me insane. And now I'm legit afraid I'm going to clock in on Monday only to be fired. First off, there's Karen, and yes, that was actually her name. That name is practically a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point, isn't it? Anyway, Karen says she's calling about a special offer we're having. And before I say anything, she wants me to know that she is an expert on this special offer. I shouldn't bother telling her anything, because she already knows more than me. Okay, I say, how can I help her then? She wants the special offer, she says. I apologize and say she isn't eligible because nope, that's wrong, but her account isn't. She doesn't want to hear it. But if you were to look, if I'm not going to do my job, then she needs to talk to a manager right now. That is absolutely fine by me. Let her go be a Karen to someone else. But for some stupid reason at my company, we can't just transfer people to the escalations line. First, we have to call the assist line and get permission to transfer them. Now we have over 300 people taking calls for us, so naturally, we have a sensible number of people working the assist line, like say 10 people. So it takes roughly 20 minutes just to reach someone on that line. The entire time, every 2 minutes, I have to check in with customer. Hi, I'm still working on this for you. I'm sorry it's taking so long. Do you mind continuing to hold? And every time I pop back in to tell her I haven't solved her problem, Karen gets a little angrier. Finally, someone picks up. I explain that the customer is refusing to talk to anyone but a manager. Can I please have permission to transfer them? No, I cannot. Why? Because the lady on the assist line, Julie, and I are going to de-escalate the call ourselves. I tell her again that the customer does not want that, she just wants to be transferred to a manager. Too bad. Now, here's what I'm going to say to her. Pop back in over to Karen. I tell her that I've got a supervisor on the other line and no sorry, she can't talk to them. That goes over about as well as you'd expect. I try to tell Karen why she isn't eligible for the special offer again. She refuses to listen, demands that I get her a manager. I pop back over to Julie and tell her that Karen still wants to talk to a manager. Can I please transfer her now? No, I can't. Now I need to go back and tell her that. This goes on for about 10 minutes before Karen has enough, and I honestly can't blame her at this point, and starts accusing me of screwing with her. I'm not really talking to a manager because if I was, I would let her talk to them. I tell her that I do indeed have a manager on the other line. Then what's her name? Moral dilemma time. Do I protect my fellow co-worker or do I throw her under the bus? Screw it. The call only got this bad because she wouldn't let me transfer it. I tell Karen that the manager's name is Julie. Oh yeah, sure, Julia the make-believe manager who Karen isn't allowed to talk to. Well, guess what? Karen is going to sue our company. And she's going to report us to the government for discrimination. And she's going to give them my name and also Julie's, just in case Julie turns out to be a real person. Pop back over to Julie to tell her the good news. Julie is shocked that repeatedly not giving a literal Karen what she wants for literally no reason could end this way. She finally gives me permission to transfer Karen to escalations. Not because it's what the customer wants, but because this is now a legal issue and only managers can deal with those. Pop back over to tell Karen that I can now transfer her over to a manager. Karen finds this hilarious. She's literally having to sue our company, which she still fully intends to do, just to talk to a manager. Well, let her tell me something. She has never been treated this badly in her life, and she's going to make sure that we... Did I mention that the company policy says we can't transfer the customer until they shut the fuck up? But now Karen has a captive audience, and she is determined to make me experience the full force of her Karenosity. And this whole time my anxiety is being gnawed at. The little rope that lets me cling to sanity, growing thinner and thinner with every word until... Well, time for a full-blown anxiety attack. I interrupt Karen. I don't give a crap that she's in the middle of a 3-hour speech about how awful I am. I talk right over her until she's forced to stop. I tell her that I don't care about any of this, least of all her opinions of me. But if she wants to talk to a supervisor, I can either get her one or I can hang up the phone right now. And for the record, people would be much more willing to help her if she didn't have such a horrible attitude. There is nothing but stunned silence on the other line. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the first time anyone had ever spoken to Her Majesty like that. I quickly decide that she must be giving me permission to transfer her, so I do. Then I go into lunch status. Even though my break isn't for another 45 minutes, because I can't possibly take another call right then. I didn't hear anything about it for the rest of the day, but I know that's not going to last. These are the people who write you up for saying these loans instead of those loans during a scripted section, after all. So, all I can do now is clock in tomorrow morning and hope the fire and brimstone I've called down in myself isn't too much for my fragile mortal soul to bear. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Please Hold, episode 25. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do poke the like button. And if you'd like to get the videos a little bit early, then you can support me on my Patreon, which is linked in the description. You can do that for as little as $1 or more a month. If I can get that up to a few hundred, it would certainly make things a lot easier on me. You can also buy yourself some Hellfreezer merchandise, as it is coming up to the holiday season. It might be a nice present for yourself or someone you love. If they're a Hellfreezer fan. If they're not, then that'll just be awkward. And you can also make donations during streams and videos like this one. And you don't have to do this, but I do very much appreciate it, and it helps me out a lot. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, I do have a shout-out to give. Shout-out goes to the author of the last story. And they have a website called Bolander Books. It's Adam Bolander. He's an independent author. And you go to his website, you will find books that he has written and uploaded for free. The entire free for you to look at, and we'll pop along, and hopefully you'll find something you like the look of. At a glance, what do we have? Henry Rider Clown Hunter, Skinwalkers, Amber Silverblood. I do like that name. There seem to be wolves. I think werewolves of some kind involved. So why don't you pop along and have a look? It looks like there's a nice mix of genres. You might find something you enjoy. I'll have a link to that next to story number 5 in the description. Right, before we go, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is... And this one comes from Newcomb, who shared it with us on the Discord. What odd things did your grandparents' generation eat on holidays? Unfortunately, this is one I can't personally answer, because I don't remember, and I wasn't especially close with any of my grandparents, to be honest, although I was more fond of my Granda Wilkie, whom I'm kind of sort of named after. He was John Wilkie, my father was John Wilkie, I am, except they had a middle name, I don't. But then I was the rest of my grandparents. I didn't dislike any of them especially, but I wasn't especially close to them. That's just how things go sometimes. But yes, I don't really know what weird things they ate on the holidays. I know there was like a dumpling, a fruit dumpling of some kind. One of my aunts used to make, but that was quite nice. That's not an odd thing. That's just yummy. But I look forward to reading some of your answers. I'm suddenly getting visions of all those weird jellied food concoctions you used to get in the 1970s. So let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening. And take very good care of yourselves.